Welcome. My name is Rolf Eberhardt, and together with my colleagues Hans Aaegesen, we will be introducing monetizing innovative telco edge services. Hans, may I hand over to you?
Yes. So this demo here and what we're presenting here is all about edge computing. And edge computing, as you probably all know, is really a mega trend these days. It's about running applications at the edge. And what we're seeing now is becoming a multi-billion-dollar business every year, and we're seeing double-digit growth rates. So really an interesting area.
So what does this characterize, this edge computing stuff?
Yeah, as I said, it's about applications in the edge, and I think the question we should ask ourselves is, what are those applications that needs to run at the edge? And it typically comes down to three things. It comes down to improving the user experience, so it's about low latency as an example. It comes to things like privacy and security, where enterprises or customers want to keep the data at their premises. And finally, we see a lot of cases which is about bandwidth optimization. In other words, do number crunching close to where data is being generated to avoid transferring lots of data across broadband connections.
And from a telco perspective, what would this mean?
Well, we see telcos being in a unique position these days. The telcos have for a long time been delivering connectivity services to, for instance, enterprises, and they have gained a lot of trust with enterprises in that market. And now, a recent study from IDC showed us that 40% of the larger enterprises actually would look towards the telcos to purchase also their edge computing. And this is a pretty big market, that's a pretty big opportunity.
So how would this then be from, if you put this all together, what does this mean from an end-to-end perspective?
Yeah, so, one way of looking at this is to ask ourselves, what is it that as a telco you need to do to capture this market? And basically it comes down to one simple thing. You need to provide something that your customers need. And from edge computing, what the customers need is really three things. It's the combination of the edge compute, so servers, hardware kind of things on the edge. It's connectivity, either in the form of bandwidth connection, connecting the edge sites with the central sites, so wide area network connections. Or it could also be connectivity at the actual site, so connectivity in the form of Wi-Fi or private LTE or private 5G. And finally, you need the edge applications themselves, the enterprise workloads that really this is all about. And for the telco, what they need to do is to provide this as a single, simple, common offering to the enterprises. And this is where what we are doing comes into the picture in the form of edge orchestration, combining all the things into one offering.
Cool. Well, why don't we jump into the demo and have a look?
Yeah, so let me shift to the demo. So the key here is to understand, what does this look like for an enterprise? So let me just shift screen quickly. So what we're looking at here is, what is it that the telco could offer to the enterprise? So what we have here is a user experience from an enterprise point of view. So when they log into the portal from the telco on our solution, what they would see is, first of all, a view of where they have their edge computing sites in the world or in the country. They have the ability to log into a single site to get more information. So what we would keep here are things like, what is the actual hardware on this site, so in this case an edge line. We keep information about the utilization of it. We have information about what are the current applications that have been deployed on this particular site. What is the state of those applications? We have access to various operations like starting, stopping, undeploying, and also operations related to, for instance, controlling what we call local breakout. In other words, how the traffic is routed towards these applications. And finally, what we can do from here is also, or rather what the enterprise can do from here, is select to deploy a new application. And what we then expose to him is this application catalog. In other words, what are the applications available to this particular enterprise in his catalog that he can deploy? And it's literally just a few single clicks to select that application and install it, spin it up, start it, configure it, and you're up and going.
So where do these applications come from?
Yeah, very good question, and not an easy answer. So first of all, we believe that different enterprises will have a need for different applications. So, the applications that are good for a retailer will not be the same that's good for a utility company. So what we've done with our solution is to make it very simple to onboard applications, and we enable it to, and we make it possible to onboard both for the enterprise as well as for the telco and even for a third-party system integrator. So from a portal point of view, we have an application catalog pages wherein you can see the applications, you can modify them, you can add a new application. We support things like virtual machines and containerized applications. You can do different versions, etc., etc. But again, coming back to your question, the key takeaway is that it's an open system. Anyone can onboard the applications. And we believe it's going to see a number of trends here. We're going to see enterprises onboarding their own applications. We're going to see telcos opening up marketplace with applications they offer to all their customers. And we're going to see telcos teaming up with, for instance, system integrators specialized in a certain vertical segment of the market, so they together can address new segments of the market.
Okay. This user experience which you've been showing, is this service provided by HPE?
What we have done is that we provide it as a service. So we offer the Edge Orchestrator both as a service from the public cloud, and we also see a number of customers, they have a requirement for running this at their premises. So we can also install it in a, for instance, telco data center and operate it from a telco data center, but still as a service. And probably worthwhile mentioning also is that now we're showing the portal, but we also have open APIs. So if the telco wants to use their own portal or integrate the functionality into their own portal, that can be done, or it could be simply to integrate with other OSS and BSS systems.
Well, the obvious question now we need to ask is 5G. 5G is going to be an element of the future on the edge. How do we relate to 5G with this solution?
So in this solution, our target at 5G is that we support private 5G. We support the ability to have 5G breakout in the solution. So it becomes part of the 5G offering in that sense. So what we've been doing with Edge Orchestrator, what is the value proposition we come with, is basically for a CSP to extend his offering beyond connectivity services. In other words, to start addressing and offering edge computing. And that has a number of benefits. I mean, first of all, it strengthens the customer intimacy. We also see this as a way for new revenue for the CSP or for the telco. And finally, we see this as a way they can start addressing new vertical segments of the market. But all this will only work if this also provides value for the CSP's end customer. And for the end customer, what you hopefully have seen here is that the Edge Orchestrator, it creates a seamless operational experience across the three elements: infrastructure, connectivity, and the enterprise workloads.
Thank you very much for this excellent introduction to the solution Edge Orchestrator. Thank you very much for participating, and have a great day.